Welcome to the Beyond Fashion Business Podcast. Today's guest is Oliver Saunders, the commercial director at Our Legacy, one of the most well respected cult fashion brands of the past 2 decades. This story is not about hype, marketing hacks, or chasing trends. It's about patience, product, and a relentless commitment to building something real. We talked about how Our Legacy grew from a quiet Swedish label to a globally recognized brand. We go deep on what it actually takes to build longevity in this industry, how production and relationships shape everything behind the scenes, and why staying small for longer might be the smartest move a brand can make if they want to stand the test of time like Our Legacy has. What were those big, stormy, are we doing the right thing events that have happened for the brand? Because again, there's a lot of day-to-day fires, but every brand that's been around for 20 years has, three, four almost existential
Yeah,
level
yeah,
challenges.
no, it's important. I mean, of course. I mean, you said it now in hindsight when you meet it. I think for us, was probably COVID. Ultimately, I think we hit that wall full pace, like full hard, full speed. We've been driving, we've been doing our thing, you know, foot to the floor, just cracking on. COVID came, and then what COVID brought was complete unknown. And ultimately, when you're faced with unknown, all the planning in the world just kind of throws out the window, and you got to relook at everything. You got to relook. You got to reanalyze. What have we got? And for us, ultimately, personally, I believe that was probably one of the best things that ever happened to us.
Hmm.
Because what happened then is that unfortunately, and I say this, it was a very difficult time because we had to let go of staff. We we definitely hit something we didn't know what was going to happen. We had to. Our reaction was obviously we had to strip it right down. We didn't know whether, of course, well, no one knew anything really, did they? I mean, it was a very different course here in Sweden, but the rest of the world, of course, with everything. It was a horrible situation and very difficult time in the globe. And fingers crossed that never happens again. Um, but yeah, it happened, and we faced an uncertain future. And with that, what happened was that we re-looked at ourselves. We re-looked at what we've got going. We took that moment to understand. Okay, let's strip it down, see what we've got, and let's hope. And what we didn't realize, of course, at that point, that ultimately that all those years behind us, we'd built this kind of consumer base, that just this beautiful foundation of consumers that just were happy to purchase at home ultimately. And they were there to support us through that. And you'd hoped always that, you've built something, but you never know, right? But you never really know. And I think that was the most beautiful moment where we managed to actually had an incredible time. And we managed to have production. We managed to kind of work it through again, managing those relationships, right? Because it was the same situation. These guys were like, whoa, we don't know what our business is going to be like. And we're like, we're here. We're here. We can do this. Let's do this together. So after all those years of relationships, also with our factories, they supported us. We supported them. We managed it through together because we couldn't bear the idea of seeing them close either. So we drew together as one unit to help each other ultimately. And we came out of that situation bigger than ever.
Yeah.
But very fresh perspective about the. I mean, almost I suppose it's a little bit humbling, right? It's a humbling situation regarding what you actually want. And the question was asked, yes, we need to see this through. We need this to survive. No matter the sacrifice, whether I had to leave or we obviously had to, unfortunately, yes, we had to do the same. People had to leave us. But it wouldn't have mattered if I was part of that journey or not, because I would have loved every second anyway from the sideline, because I knew from plus 17 years ago when I met the guys that they're all good. It's going to be good. I knew that bet for one. I knew that was going to be right, and I'm still seeing it's right to date. So yeah, it was a big moment, but that was the biggest rock, I would say, to the foundation there. But I think again we drew back on those core values about the existence of the brand, what do we want from this, and our position, and what do we want to get, and how do we want to go, and we came out bigger and better actually ultimately.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like personal trauma, right? And when you're going through personal trauma, it feels like the worst thing in the world. But in hindsight, there's always either a lesson or a remembrance. I think that that's the same for any business because it becomes almost like a living organism.
Yeah,
And again, those
exactly.
very difficult periods are perfect opportunities to remember and either reinvent or re-solidify those
Yeah.
foundations that over span of 15 years, 20 years are easy to forget or get distracted on or lose specific direction in.
Yeah, no, totally. And Chris, I mean, he was just on fire. He was like, no, I've got all these ideas, want to do this. And we were very limited resources because, of course, the team was down, production was down. So we had to come back with the kind of like best of a little bit. But one of the things that kind of came out of that was not only about finding ourselves and finding our customer and kind of also growing, which was phenomenal, and then kind of regrouping, was then we managed to then create a Stussy relationship. And that's a brand that, of course, growing up, I was like in awe of, and one of the best distributed brands out there and incredible history. And that kind of really took us up a notch and put some real wind in the sails because that ultimately, with the millions and millions of fans out there that they have, that kind of introduced us to a whole new audience. And that kind of brand awareness kind of grew very quickly and very fast. And that
Overnight
was
success, 20-year overnight success.
Yeah, yeah, and I still
Yeah.
funny because I'm using this all the time because people are like, "Oh, he's so good," But again, it's 20 years in the making. This isn't overnight. It's a lot
And
of work.
a single event might make it feel or make it perceive like it was overnight, right? Because people perceive just what they're seeing. And what they're seeing is a Stussy collaboration or LVMH investing in the brand. But what they're not seeing are, again, the days in the store, the conversations with the buyers 20 years ago, um, figuring out COVID.
Yeah, exactly. All the above. So yeah, that's a standout to answer your question. That's a massive standout for me. There's probably plenty, there's thousands more of situations, but that's the big one. I think that's the one that really kind of like, oh, hello, here we go, situation. Let's
Mm,
get on with
yeah,
this
it's
now.
just
It's the one.
interesting. And again, it goes back to what you said, right? Like patience and timing. Patience allows for timing to happen. Timing usually takes a long time for it to flourish. Timing sometimes goes against you, COVID.
Yeah.
Timing eventually goes for you, a Stussy relationship. Do you think that was kind of like the tipping point for the brand? Again,
Yeah.
a tipping point that happened because of the 20 years of foundations being laid, right?
Yeah.
But at least the tipping point that everybody kind of like can associate the brand with.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we definitely saw something new for ourselves. We saw another thing again, kind of striking at that kind of different audience awareness and also the press. I mean, the press with us, the press then have kind of been with us on that journey. And I think they've always been around and for sure have seen us and have kind of noted our rise and all the rest of it. But I think they also took another turn on us. I think they've kind of like, oh, hold on, these guys have got something here. These are worth watching. This is something to look at. And of course, the addition of women's wear, building up all the different categories, and again keeping their head down and then working on the other collaborations. So we saw obviously what they could provide us. So that was obviously nurture those relationships and build something new friendships, and see what they can bring us. And building on that was phenomenal work by Joachim. Phenomenal work, and yeah, just I think enjoying that. But then ultimately, I think one other critical maybe decision I was that I wanted to maneuver us into designer world. And I kind of at that point, pre-COVID, had kind of been enjoying a contemporary positioning, if you want to talk about like general positioning and like the classic department store.
Hmm.
And kind of like, I just wanted to see another opportunity for us. And especially with the vision of the product, especially with the runway, especially with everything we're doing. And I just also want to enjoy the flexibility of movement within a different kind of price position to be able to go up and down, and not
Mm,
kind of held. And kind of contemporary kind of held us a lot, positioning wise. Too much conversation. So ultimately, then maneuvering into a designer remix where we're kind of the obtainable brand, against our peers and all these brands we've grown up and all the houses, and kind of pitifully kind of pushing ourselves into that remix. I'm I'm sure has helped us on our journey for a second wind for sure, in uplift and our kind of how we've seen, how we're looked upon. And I suppose I just wanted us to be taken a little bit more seriously because I believed in it so much that I wanted everyone else to go with us on this. And there
mm,
was work behind that, buyers believing us, positioning, and all the
right.
rest of it, incredibly difficult. But that's really paid off, and we're really enjoying that moment and really enjoying our positioning right now, I must
Right.
say.
Yeah. So increasing price prime positioning just to have more flexibility when it comes to strategy with product, with everything. Um,
Yes.
because I mean it was mainly driven by what, like higher price points, I'm guessing, right? Higher price points give you
No,
higher margins give you
not,
more flexibility, or is it
no,
just
no, not,
being a
not at all.
well-respected brand?
Not at all. I think it's more about the product, actually. Again, to go back to that point, I think we were pushing a bit more of a fashion look, and I wanted us to enjoy that moment as much as the foundation might be on a button-down shirt, whatever. It was just about the opportunity of being able to push the other looks, and also, again, was to enjoy a far wider spectrum of price point, not being kind of the top end of something. I'd rather be in the middle and enjoy both sides of it. Um, but then, when you entertain, you kind of been around the Lemaires, the Acnes of the world, you get a different notoriety. It's a different position. And, we've really still, of course, carving our position here. Don't get me wrong.
If this episode resonated with you, and if you're building a real brand, but growth still feels inconsistent, overwhelming, or just not to the scale your brand deserves, we're offering free one-on-one coaching calls. And this call will help you identify exactly what's getting in your way and what to do next. These calls are limited and application based. So if you're serious, click the link in the description, fill out your form, book your call, and if we think we can help, we'll confirm your spot. Hope you enjoyed this podcast episode and see you on the next one.